Hey everybody, it's Jennifer J. Welcome back to Moving Forward. This is episode 81, and today we are going to be finishing up T.D. Jakes' Faithful Wounds Part 2, and he was talking about reciprocity. I've got a couple of hard words in here. They're hard for me to say. I can't wrap my tongue around them, but just don't laugh at me. It's okay. But this one is talking about where you invest your time. And I'm not going to go through a lot of it. I really just want to talk to you guys about what this was telling me, because I know that you remember we were talking last time about the vine and the branches, and you know, when they take an oak tree and a cherry tree and they cut them apart and, you know, graft them together, and they wrap cloth around them and stuff till they actually grow together into one tree. That is what the engrafted word is in us. When we read the word, it becomes a part of us. And so if we're not spending time reading the word, we need to be. And so one of the things that he was talking about was that if you change your investment, you change your return. So you don't need to pray. I mean, you do need to pray, but he's saying it's not that you need to pray more, it's that you need to change your investment. And so I want you to think about your day and how you spend your day. Because a lot of people say, and they say it to me, I don't have time to pray, I don't have time to read the Bible. Or I fall asleep when I pray, and that's okay. Or I fall asleep when I read. And so I think if you will take a week, if you'll invest a week of your life, 1 week, this week, it's Monday, so Monday through Friday, we'll just say 5 days, write down what you do every hour. Just every hour, as you think of it, you look at the clock because it's going to go faster than you think. Have a piece of paper out and just jot down what you did in that hour. It doesn't have to be everything, and it doesn't have to be complete sentences. Just jot down the things you did. Because I think at the end of the week, when you look back at what you did, you will find some places that are dead branches that you could cut off or prune and make time for the Lord. Because really, where we invest our time is where we're going to grow fruit. And Satan is the great manipulator. He is a liar. Y'all, he's gonna try and trip you up. And you might think, you know, well, there's nowhere that I can cut back. I don't do anything. I don't watch soap operas. I don't, you know, sit around reading novels or whatever. You might think that there's nowhere you can cut back, but truly, even if you're watching this YouTube channel, that might be a place God wants you to cut. If you listen to podcasts or whatever, Satan will use even good things, even things that you might invest your time in volunteering, and they might be good things, but he will use even good things to get you out of alignment with where God wants you to be, because then you're not as effective. And so if you're not getting something out of this, if it's just entertaining, great, but don't waste your time. If you're not changing your life because of it, if you're not growing and bearing fruit because of it, then cut it out. Get rid of it. Once you look back on your 5 days of your journal of how you spent your day, you should be able to find some areas where you could cut back. And if you can't, I'm still going to challenge you. You knew I was. The reason is, and this is going to be hard for me to share, but bear with me. When my kids were little, Destiny wasn't born yet. The older three were little. Their dad was an alcoholic, and he had become an intravenous drug abuser. And life at our house was hard. He didn't hit me, but he made life really hard. Sarah was the most protected. I don't think she ever knew until I left him, and then she knew. But up until this point, she was pretty protected, but the boys knew. He came home one night, and he was mad. He was drunk. He was mad. And he took my Bible he told me he didn't want to see it. He didn't want to hear about it. I wasn't allowed to read it. I had more than one Bible. So he did take that Bible. But I had others. So I waited, I prayed that God would wake me up when he was asleep. I went to bed regular time after getting the kids to bed, and he didn't sleep much because I don't know if you know much about alcoholism or drug use, but man, they don't need much sleep. 4 hours tops, sometimes 2, like not much sleep. So he was up really late, and then he got up really early. He might be up till 2 in the morning and go to bed or get up at 5. You know, he didn't hardly sleep. But I prayed that God would wake me up once he was asleep so that I could pray and read my Bible. And for more than a year, you guys, God woke me up every night, and I would sneak out to the couch and I would read my Bible and I would pray. I'd pray for him. Sometimes I just prayed he wouldn't catch me. I'm only telling you this to tell you, you can find time if you really want to do it. I wasn't any more tired than I was when I slept all night. God gave me the energy I needed. I took care of it, raised my 3 kids, and babysat 3 others all day. And I did that for over a year. So I know that you can do it, and I know that it's hard. But when God tells us to give our tithe, he's not just talking about money, you know? He wants us. He wants a relationship with us. That's why he created us. I mean, to glorify himself, but he wants a relationship with us. He gave us free will. He didn't create us and say, you will glorify me. He said, I want you to glorify me. I want you to want to. You know? How is it when you have somebody that you want to love you? You don't want them to love you because you force them to love you. You want them to love you because they want to love you. And so I just challenge you this week to write down how you're spending your time. See where you can make changes. Make time to read the Bible. Make time to talk to God, and make time to listen to God. That part's really hard for me because I've got ADHD, and it's hard to sit still, and it's hard to just sit quiet and listen. But I do it. I do it because it's important. And you need to do it too. It's the way you're going to be fruitful. So invest in the yes. Invest in you. Invest in him. And bear much fruit. What are you willing to be faithful to? Because whatever you're faithful to is what you're investing in, right? You're faithful to your kids. You're faithful to your husband. Are you faithful to God? I mean, you think you are because you're living an okay life, right? You're not out there overtly sinning or whatever, and you do your tithe, and you know, you're pretty good. But what else are you doing? Are you spending time doing things that aren't producing fruit? Because those things need to go away. He told me that's why I'm in Arizona alone. This was the end of July 28th. That's why I was here by myself, because he needed me to get concentrated, where I didn't have distractions. I didn't have the kids. I didn't have the grandkids. I didn't have church with things I could do. I mean, I have a church here, but it was an hour away at this point in my life, and I didn't drive up there in the dark, an hour on the highway. It's the 10-lane highway, I think. So I wasn't driving up there at night and stuff. I was just going on Sunday morning. So I was listening to a lot of sermons online, doing Bible study online. They had Zoom and stuff at church or Facebook Live, and I do classes that way. But he had me very concentrated because he was growing me, and I think that he was fertilizing me, so to speak. He was getting me drenched in the Word. So he said, you can only pour to your capacity. If I give you a gallon and you only have a cup, let me see if I can say that again. If I have a gallon and you only have a cup, I can only give you a cup, right? Because that's all you have. That's your capacity. Otherwise, it's just going to spill out, right? But I have a gallon here that I want to give you. So this is Jesus, and he's got a gallon. And we need to have a gallon to receive instead of just having a cup. And the only way we can do that is by being in his Word. And remember, I've told you guys, you've got to keep going forward, because if you're not, you're going backward. You can't hit pause. You can't say, I'm going to go here, and now I'm just going to rest a minute. Because you can't. You just start slipping backwards. You have to do it every day, every single day, every single day. So, and you'll find, I think, like I did, the more you do it, the more you want to do it. The more you do it, the more time you spend with God, the more time you want to spend with God. That's, for me, that's the truth. The more I'm in the Bible, the more I'm watching sermons, the more, like, in the evenings, when I am done with everything and everything's finished and I've maybe even listened to a sermon or two that day or whatever, and I could turn on Netflix or I could read a book or do something, I don't even want to. Like, I just want to find a sermon to listen to. I just want to get fed more and more and more. It's just so good, you guys. So I just ask you this week, type on the line if you're going to do it. If you're willing to take the challenge, 5 days, write down what you do and take a look back at it and see where you can cut off and prune the activities in your life. If you're willing, if you're up to the challenge, I want you to type something on the line, let me know you're going to do it, and I will check back with you to see how it went. So I'll hold you accountable, but I hope you'll do that and join me in that, because I think I'm going to do it again too. I'm sure there's places that I could prune out again as well. So because I am doing this in real time, it's 6 months after when I actually heard this sermon. So I think it's time to take a look at where things what things I'm doing now and reevaluate that and just make sure I'm still on track as well. So I'll do it if you'll do it. I'll do it even if you won't do it. But I hope you'll do it. And until then, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.